At this point, I'd like to present Sarah Wiener. Sarah is the program coordinator for the USDA Southeast Regional Climate Hub. She has her MS in forestry from North Carolina State University and has been working on inventorying, developing, and disseminating resources and decision support tools for forestry and agriculture in the Southeast U.S. for the past 2 years through the USFS and through SERCH. Today, she'll be giving us a demonstration of Climate Hub's tools. Take it away, Sarah.
So as Dan said, I'm going to be talking about some of the tools that us over here at the Southeast Regional Climate Hub have either developed or collaborated on or worked to incorporate climate change into. Steve McNulty gave an overview earlier of several of these tools. He kind of went over them briefly and scratched the surface. I will be getting more in depth, and I'm going to demo a few of the tools, so we'll kind of take you through them. We'll probably have 5 or 10 minutes for each of the tools and then some time for questions. If you have questions during the presentation, feel free to ask them since we will be moving from tool to tool. It might make sense to ask while I'm on the tool that you have a question about.
And to ask those questions, please use the question panel on your GoToMeeting control panel.
So our process for working with tools so far has been, as you see on the screen, amend, extend, create, and deliver. So we're amending existing tools to incorporate climate change into them. We're extending existing tools that already include climate change to expand to additional sectors or additional geographies. We're also creating tools out of existing data sets. And then we developed a delivery strategy for those tools called the toolshed. So you can see a common theme here, and that is existing. So we're trying our best to work with pre-existing tools and pre-existing data sets, not reinventing the wheel, trying to take things that people are already familiar with, or that resources have already been invested into. So that we're not, investing a ton of resources into something that already exists, and we're not developing this unfamiliar thing when something might already work pretty well for the given purpose. So we'll start with the tools that we are amending. Like I said, amend existing tools to include climate considerations. And the first tool here is the NRCS climate tool. And this connects the NRCS conservation planning process to climate stressors. So for those of you unfamiliar with the process, it has 163 practices that address 44 resource concerns, and these are aimed at delivering technical and financial assistance to landowners and land managers. So basically what we've done is assess the 44 resource concerns in the context of climate change and climate variability. And now I'm going to take you to the tool and give you a brief demonstration of it. So this is the tool. It can be found at nrcs.search.us, and it's basically a 4-step process. 3 of those steps are already part of the conservation planning process, and we've basically added this additional step of the climate connection. So that's step 1. This is where you decide which climate connection you're concerned about, and we went to the scientific literature to determine which of these climate connections were most impactful on conservation planning and NRCS resource concerns. So I'll go through an example. We can start out with precipitation, extreme heavy rainfall. As you can see, you can select multiple of these climate connections, but we'll just do one right now for simplicity's sake. We can look at associated ag land as the land use. And for example, we're interested in the impacts on soil. So we're met with 5 different resource concerns that you can choose from. You can choose multiple if you'd like. So let's go with ephemeral gully erosion. Hit search. And down below, you're met with the climate connection benefits. And this is a ranking of various benefits that have already been quantified through NRCS. We don't need to get too into the weeds about where those numbers come from right now, but I'd be happy to talk to anyone some more detail about them offline or in the question and answer section. And then in this right-hand column, you have any negative trade-offs that are associated with the practice. So for example, we'll go to tree or shrub establishment. So this is a practice that is sponsored by NRCS and that you can, in many places, get financial assistance from NRCS to implement on your land. And in this area right here, you have all the information that you would need to go through the conservation planning process, such as the practice name, the codes, the resource areas that it addresses. You have right here more information about the CPPE score. So if you were an NRCS agent, this is the more detailed information you might need. The practice documentation has all of the various PDFs and Word documents and different forms that you would have to fill out to go through the process. And then down here, we connect it to greenhouse gas mitigation. So NRCS has also developed the greenhouse gas ranking tool, and we just basically crosswalked it with that tool so that you can find that same information in this tool as well. So tree and shrub establishment has a 5 out of 5 ranking on the greenhouse gas mitigation scale, and I think we all know that as trees grow, they sequester carbon, so this one's pretty obvious. And if you go down below, you have some more detailed information about the resource concerns that are connected to it and the climate connections, as well as their various ratings. So that's just a quick demonstration of the NRCS climate tool. And I will say, as a bit of a disclaimer, this is a tool that we've developed at the Climate Hub with NRCS partners. It is not officially out and in use yet, and it hasn't, necessarily gotten the blessing from the NRCS powers that be. So it is not created, by NRCS, but with NRCS collaboration, and we're working with them to integrate it into some of their conservation planning work. But at this point, it's still, in alpha beta testing mode. So any feedback that anyone has on the tool, we would greatly appreciate. And you can contact me directly to provide that feedback if you're interested. So we'll go back to the PowerPoint real quickly and move on to our next tool. So the next piece in the process is to extend climate tools to additional sectors or locations. This is where we have tools that already exist, but maybe they only cover forestry and we want them to cover agriculture, or maybe they only cover one part of the country, we want to extend them to the southeast. So one example is Agri Climate. Many of you may have heard of this tool. It's a suite of tools developed out of the University of Florida and the Southeast Climate Consortium. And they have, for example, freeze risk probabilities, drought monitoring and forecast, a planting date planner, chill hours calculator, a strawberry advisory system, growing degree calculator. But as you can see, currently, many of the tools only cover about 5 states. Some of them cover even less. And what we've done in the Southeast is take some of these tools and work with the folks at the Climate Consortium and University of Florida to expand them across all of the states in the Southeast Hub region, which is 11 states. I'm going to take you to the site really quickly. This is the tools landing page. As you can see, some of the tools I just showed are up here. One of the tools that we've expanded to cover all of the Southeast is the rainfall and temperature monitoring. Another one is the growing degree days monitoring and the chill hours monitoring. And I'll just take you to this chill hours tool real quick so you can get a look at how it is within the site. So you can select your chill threshold, 45 degrees Fahrenheit or 32 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit, and it'll tell you how many chill hours have accumulated since last year. And these tools used to only cover the 5 states here, and now we've expanded them to cover 11. And back to PowerPoint. So another tool that we have expanded is the Takimoto Tool. This is the template for assessing climate change impacts and management options. It's a searchable database of scholarly literature that was primarily developed as a planning tool for the U.S. Forest Service and the National Forest System, and it contains region, ecosystem, and species-specific adaptation information. Like I said, it's currently forest and ecosystem focused, but we're expanding it to include other sectors such as cropland, livestock, and rangeland. I'm not going to go into the tool right now because tomorrow at 1:45 Eastern Time, Amish Treasure, who's our Takimoto coordinator, will be giving a full presentation on Takimoto, as well as, I assume, some case studies and how it's been used in the past and how it's being used currently. So tune in tomorrow if you want to learn more about Takimoto. Next, we create new tools from existing data. Our first example of this is the Searchlight's alert system. And what we did was take NOAA's Climate Prediction Center's monthly drought outlook, which every month at the beginning of the month comes out with a forecast for the upcoming month of where drought will be. We've taken that geodata and overlaid it with subscribers who give us their location of interest, and if their location of interest is expected to be in a drought, then we will send them an alert at the beginning of every month when that drought outlook comes out. So the idea was to take something that already exists, but only exists on a website, and deliver it directly to your inbox. Along with that drought alert, we're providing information on how to manage drought, various resources that are available to land managers, and we've divided it up into forestry and agriculture-specific drought alerts. So we couple it with science from our resources and our partners. And I'll take you to what that drought alert looks like in just a second. We're also working on developing a cattle heat stress alert with 1, 3, 5, and 7-day forecasts. This is based on temperature, humidity, and cloud cover, as well as an El Nino alert and pest alerts through APHIS. I'm going to take you to the Searchlight subscription page so that you can have a look at it. So this is the landing page. You can go to search.us/lights/subscribe. The URL is up here in the corner. To subscribe to Searchlights has a brief description. You can go here, enter your name, your email address, and then very importantly, you have to drop a pin on a map, and that's your location of interest, and fill out the CAPTCHA, and then hit subscribe. It's not going to let me subscribe because I'm already subscribed. And if the pin that you drop on a map is within 25 miles of our drought for right now, then you will get an alert. And this is what our alert looks like for agriculture. It has an image of the drought outlook, the drought summary, a fast fact about drought, and then we link to our Tableau public site, which has several data visualizations related to drought. This one in particular covers irrigation intensity across the Southeast United States. I'll also show you what the ARS cattle heat stress alert looks like. So as I said, we're developing an alert system out of ARS's cattle heat stress alert, and those are 1, 3, 5, and 7-day forecasts for heat stress for cattle that ranges from normal to danger to alert to danger to emergency based on temperature, precipitation, and humidity. Right now, as you can see in January, there's not much risk of cattle heat stress, but in the summer, this map is a lot more interesting, and the information is a lot more concerning for those raising cattle. And back to the PowerPoint. So drought is our prototype. I told you about a couple of the other items that we're developing, the cattle heat stress, El Nino. Like I said, we're also starting to work with APHIS to develop predictions for up to 5 pests that are relevant for working lands. But we're also curious what kind of other climate threats would land managers and extension agents be interested in having delivered to their inbox. So that's the kind of feedback that we'd love to hear. And finally, deliver. We want to have an effective delivery system to all of our users so that they can sort through and find any of the tools that would be relevant to them, whether we've created or contributed to them or not. So our main delivery system is the toolshed. And the toolshed is it's an online searchable database that inventories and assesses tools from across the country. The majority of the tools in the toolshed are free and available to the public. Some of them are websites, some of them are mobile application forms. But basically, we want you to be able to find the tools that are most relevant for your work. And from there, we can do a gap analysis to see what kind of tools are missing, and if there's a demand for that kind of tool, if it's something that we can create or encourage others to create. We can also expand and update existing tools to fill in some of those gaps. So I'm going to take you to the toolshed now. This is our landing page. It can be found at tools.search.us, but it can also be found on our on the Office of Communications website, or Office of the Chief Economist website, which is a much longer URL, but it's embedded in our national website as well. So when you come to the landing page, you have a few options. You have your search bar, which you can use independently, but you can also narrow down your selections by sector or region. You can narrow down by sector down here as well with these icons. We also have a smart search option, which allows you to be much more specific with what you're looking for. We have about 10 different categories that you can narrow down your selections by here. But right now, we will just use the regular search option. So for example, if I'm interested in pests or agriculture in the Southeast, the toolshed comes up with 5 different tools that are available. The citrus pest key, Climate Basic, which is one of the Monsanto apps, the free version of a Monsanto app that allows you to track pests on your field. iPipe, which is one of the integrated pest management platforms. IPM Pro, which is another one of the integrated pest management platforms. And the Strawberry Diagnostic Key. As another example, we can clear the search and search for drought in forestry in the Southeast. And this also comes up with 5 tools, including climate tools for pine tree growers, a drought management database, forewarn, searchlights, which is what I just showed you, and the Soil Climate Analysis Network. And as an example, I'll show you what it looks like, what kind of information we have behind the scenes. So it gives you the tool name. You can click on the website here, the developer, also provides a brief description of the tool so you can see if it's something you're interested in exploring more deeply. The cost, as I said, most of our tools are free. I think we only have about 10 or 15 out of 150 that actually have a fee associated with them. This is directly relevant to climate change, meaning that it considers climate change in its development process. It's relatively low time investment, which is low is defined as less than 5 minutes. And it's a publicly available, based on peer-reviewed science, developed tool. Going to show you one other example. So you're to look for temperature. So for example, you're interested in what kind of temperature changes are expected and what that's going to do for your sector. One great tool for that just came out. It's the Time Map Decision Support System. I actually just put this in the tool shed yesterday because it was only released a couple weeks ago. The Time Map Decision Support System was developed by several universities in the Southeast to examine forest productivity and forest carbon sequestration under a changing climate. And I'm going to take you to the tool really quickly so you can have a look at it. But for example, if you're interested in the change in temperature and what that might do for your pine plantation, you can click up here on temperature extreme minimum. Here you can look at the projected change in temperature and see this is kind of the mean average of the models, what the temperature projected change is for regions across the Southeast. You can also look at the highest likely change on the right-hand side or the lowest likely change on the left-hand side. So I just wanted to give a brief overview of that tool. There are several webinars that are coming out soon about this tool that can tell you a lot more about it than I can, but that's the Time Map Decision Support System. So those are the main tools that we've developed so far in our about 2 years of existence of the Climate Hub. We're really interested to hear what kind of feedback you have on these tools, if they are relevant for your work or if there's a way that we can make them more relevant for your work. We'd love to hear from you. You can subscribe to our newsletter at globalchange.ncsu.edu/search. Here's the URL for the national site that I mentioned earlier, and the URLs to a few more of our tools.